Imagine walking into a store you own and getting slapped by the manager in front of everyone, simply because of the color of your skin. That's exactly what happened to this woman. But what the arrogant manager didn't know was that she wasn't just any shopper. She was the billionaire who signs his paycheck. And what happened next? It left the entire store speechless and the internet on fire. And hey, if you're part of the Black Visionaries family, smash that like button and hit subscribe right now because you do not want to miss stories like this one. The luxury boutique was buzzing with the low hum of conversations, heels clicking against marble floors, and the faint scent of expensive perfume in the air. Shoppers browsed through racks of designer clothes, admiring the sleek handbags and polished jewelry glistening beneath the bright lights. At the center of it all stood a young black woman in her early 30s. She was elegant yet understated, dressed in a cream-colored suit that fit her frame perfectly. Her hair was pulled back into a neat bun, and her calm expression gave her an aura of quiet strength. She wasn't here for attention. She wasn't here to show off. She was simply here to see the store, her store. But no one knew that. To the employees, she was just another customer. And to one man in particular, the store manager, she was someone he thought he could belittle. The manager was in his 40s, sharp suit, slicked back hair, and the kind of arrogance that filled the room before he even spoke. He strutted over, sneering as he looked her up and down. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone dripping with false politeness. She gave a polite smile. "I'm just browsing." "Thank you." But that wasn't good enough for him. His eyes narrowed. "Browsing?" he repeated. "This isn't the kind of store you just browse in. Either you're here to buy, or you're wasting time." The words hung heavy in the air. Nearby shoppers turned their heads. An employee froze mid-fold. Even the security guard at the door glanced over, sensing the tension. The woman's smile faded. "Excuse me," she asked softly. The manager's voice grew louder. "You heard me. Customers who can afford our products don't browse. So unless you're planning on buying something right now, I suggest you leave." Gasps rippled across the boutique. A young employee shifted nervously, whispering, "Sir, maybe." "Quiet." The manager snapped, cutting her off. Then, turning back to the woman, his face twisted with anger. "You don't belong here. Get out of my store." The woman straightened, folding her arms calmly across her chest. She didn't yell. She didn't flinch. She simply looked him in the eye. "And if I don't?" That only enraged him more. His face reddened, veins straining in his neck as he took a step closer. "Then I'll make you leave," he shouted, and before anyone could react, he raised his hand, slapping her across the face. The sound echoed through the boutique like a gunshot. Customers gasped. An employee screamed. The security guard took a step forward but froze, shocked at what he had just seen. The woman's head had snapped slightly from the force, but she didn't stagger. Slowly, she turned her face back toward him. Her cheek was red, but her expression was calm, composed, almost regal. "Are you finished?" she asked quietly. The manager's hand trembled, but his arrogance pushed him forward. "Good," he spat. "You're fired." The room fell into stunned silence. Customers exchanged confused glances. Employees stared at one another, whispering, "Did he just say fired?" The woman tilted her head slightly, her lips curving into a faint smile. "Fired," she repeated softly. "That's interesting." Her voice was calm, but it carried a weight that silenced the entire room. She reached into her bag, pulled out a small leather folder, and handed it to the security guard. He opened it, his eyes widening instantly. The manager frowned. "What's that supposed to be?" The guard swallowed hard, then turned to the stunned man. It's proof," he said shakily. "Proof that she owns this store." The manager's face went pale. What are you talking about?" The woman finally spoke clearly, her voice ringing across the boutique. "I am the owner of this store. Not just this one, but every store under this company's name. I built this brand from the ground up, and you," she gestured calmly toward him, "just slap the billionaire who signs your paycheck." The crowd erupted in gasps. Customers pulled out their phones, recording every second. Employees stood frozen in disbelief. The security guard looked stunned, unsure if he was supposed to salute her or bow. The manager stammered, his voice shaking. And no, this can't be true. You're lying. But the woman didn't back down. She stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. The only lie here, she said sharply, is the one you told yourself, that you could treat people however you wanted and never face consequences. The room was still. The weight of her words pressed down like thunder. The manager's knees buckled, and suddenly, he dropped to the floor. Please, he begged, his voice cracking. Please, I didn't know. I thought you were just some random what? She cut in coldly. Say it. A random black woman who didn't look like she belonged here. Is that it? The man's lips trembled. He said nothing. He didn't have to. Everyone already knew. The woman's voice grew louder, filled with strength. You just exposed yourself. To me? To your employees. To every customer here. You've shown the world who you really are. And now, you've lost everything. The director of operations, who had been quietly standing nearby, finally stepped forward. Effective immediately, he announced, "You're fired. Security, escort him out." The security guard hesitated but then placed a firm hand on the disgraced manager's arm. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man who had barked orders now had no power, being dragged out of the store like a criminal. The crowd recorded every moment. By the time he reached the doors, the story was already racing across social media. As silence settled again, all eyes turned back to the woman. She stood tall, her cheeks still red, but her dignity untouched. She looked around the room, speaking not just to her employees, but to every soul present. I want you all to understand something, she said. This wasn't about one slap. This wasn't about one man. This was a test of whether this company had forgotten its soul. Because if the billionaire who owns this brand can be treated this way, then how are ordinary customers being treated? The single mother saving for months to buy one purse. The young man working 2 jobs just to give his wife a gift. Respect doesn't cost a thing, but arrogance costs everything. The crowd nodded. Some clapped softly, then louder, until the entire store filled with applause. Employees wiped tears from their eyes. Customers whispered, "She's right." But just when the moment seemed over, she turned back to the young security guard. "What's your name?" she asked. "Daniel," he said nervously. She smiled. "Daniel, you spoke up. You didn't stay silent. That takes courage. I was looking for a new regional operations manager, and I think I just found him." The room erupted into cheers. Daniel's jaw dropped, his coworkers patting him on the back in disbelief. Meanwhile, outside on the street, the fired manager stood staring through the glass, watching the celebration he could have been a part of, if only he had chosen kindness over arrogance. The woman's final words rang like thunder. "Never forget this. The way you treat people will always come back to you, one way or another." And with that, she walked out of her store, leaving behind a lesson no one who witnessed it would ever forget. Before you go, make sure you subscribe right now and join the Black Visionaries family, because we're building a movement of stories that open eyes, touch hearts, and change lives. Until next time, stay visionary, stay powerful, and I'll see you in the next story.